3 True College Horror Stories. Story number 1, The Whispering Library. Sarah, a wide-eyed freshman with a nose perpetually buried in a book, found herself drawn to the antiquated charm of Blackwood University's library. Tucked away in a secluded corner of campus, it was a labyrinth of towering bookshelves groaning under the weight of leather-bound wisdom. The air hung heavy with the scent of aged paper and forgotten lore, a perfect sanctuary for Sarah's insatiable curiosity. One particularly gloomy afternoon, Sarah found herself lost in a dusty section dedicated to forgotten folklore. Rain lashed against the arched windows, casting an eerie glow on the surrounding stacks. As she reached for a particularly intriguing tome on local legends, a soft whisper brushed her ear. "Beware the shadows," it hissed, sending a shiver down her spine. She spun around, heart pounding, but saw nothing but towering shelves and the faint silhouette of another student disappearing around a corner. Attributing it to the spooky atmosphere, Sarah returned to her research. However, the whispers continued. Throughout the afternoon, disembodied voices flickered at the edges of her hearing, cryptic warnings murmured in forgotten tongues. Growing increasingly unnerved, Sarah decided to leave. As she approached the exit, a guttural voice boomed, "Leave this place." The sound seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves, vibrating through her bones. She stumbled out of the library, the rain seeming less like a nuisance and more like a cleansing baptism. Back in her dorm, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The whispers echoed in her mind, a chilling reminder of her unsettling experience. Deciding to confide in her roommate, she learned that Sarah wasn't the only one plagued by the library's whispers. "Some believe it's the ghosts of students who died during a fire years ago," confided her roommate, her voice hushed. "They say the library holds their voices trapped within its walls." Determined to demystify the experience, Sarah embarked on a quest for answers. She delved into the university's archives, unearthing a faded newspaper clipping detailing a fire that claimed the lives of several students decades ago. The location? The very same library. Armed with newfound knowledge, Sarah returned to the library, no longer feeling fear, but a sense of empathy. This once bustling haven of learning was now a repository of sorrow. Standing amidst the towering shelves, she spoke aloud, her voice echoing through the vast hall. "I understand your pain," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "But scaring students won't bring you peace. Find your way to move on." Silence. The whispers had ceased. An unsettling calm descended upon the library. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers never returned. The library, once a place of fear, became a sanctuary once more. Sarah continued her research amongst the towering shelves, a newfound sense of respect for the silent ghosts who once roamed its halls. Story number 2, The Smiling Roommate. Excitement crackled in the air as Alex moved into his freshman dorm. Sharing a room with his best friend, Ethan, promised late-night talks and endless camaraderie. However, Ethan's unexpected medical leave left Alex facing the prospect of finding a new roommate halfway through the semester. The housing office assigned him a quiet senior named Daniel. Daniel seemed pleasant enough, offering a curt smile and a brief hello before retreating behind the closed door of his half of the room. Their interactions were limited. Daniel kept erratic hours, often disappearing for days at a time. One night, Alex awoke to an unsettling sight. Bathed in the cool moonlight filtering through the window, Daniel sat on his bed, a wide, unnaturally large grin stretched across his face. His eyes were wide open, vacant and unblinking. Frozen with a mixture of fear and confusion, Alex managed to stammer a breathless "Hey?" Daniel remained frozen, the smile seeming to etch itself deeper into his face. Slowly, painfully, a single tear rolled down his cheek. Then, with a jarring suddenness, Daniel's eyes focused on Alex. The smile vanished, replaced by a look of genuine surprise. "Alex? You're awake?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Relief washed over Alex. Maybe it had just been a bad dream. However, the unsettling memory lingered. From then on, Alex noticed other strange things. Daniel's room was always kept eerily tidy, devoid of any personal effects. He never received mail or phone calls. One afternoon, Alex stumbled upon a hidden diary tucked away in Daniel's desk drawer. The entries were cryptic and disturbing, filled with references to becoming free and wearing a borrowed face. A chilling realization dawned on Alex. Daniel wasn't who he seemed. Overcome with fear, Alex confided in a campus security officer. Initially skeptical, the officer grew concerned upon hearing about the diary. He agreed to investigate further, suggesting Alex stay with a friend until they could ensure his safety. That night, Alex packed his bags, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and a strange sense of responsibility. He couldn't leave Daniel to whatever dark entity seemed to be controlling him. As he reached for the doorknob, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night air. Rushing back to the room, Alex found Daniel huddled in the corner, his face contorted in terror. In the center of the room, a shadowy figure materialized, its form shifting and swirling like smoke. It spoke in a voice that sounded like 1,000 whispers woven together, "You will not interfere with the exchange." Panicked, Alex grabbed the nearest object, a heavy textbook, and hurled it at the figure. The entity recoiled with a hiss, dissolving into a wisp of smoke that escaped through a crack in the window. Daniel, his expression vacant, looked at Alex with blank eyes. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice devoid of emotion. Relief and dread battled within Alex. Daniel was back, but not the strange, unsettling Daniel. This was the original Daniel, seemingly unaware of his recent actions. The security officer arrived shortly after, alerted by Alex's frantic phone call. He found Alex explaining the events of the night to a bewildered Daniel. After hearing the story and examining the chilling diary entries, the officer contacted a specialist in paranormal activity. Days turned into weeks as the university investigated. Daniel, confused and scared, received therapy and underwent medical evaluations. No definitive explanation was ever found, but the specialists suspected the dorm room itself might be a nexus point for malevolent entities. As a precaution, the university conducted a cleansing ritual and reassigned the room. Daniel, forever marked by his experience, opted to stay off campus, seeking solace in solitude. Alex, though shaken, remained determined to understand the events. He delved into the history of the building, unearthing a story of a former student trapped in a demonic pact, his spirit forever bound to the room. The experience left an indelible mark on Alex. He learned the importance of trusting his instincts and the power of courage in the face of the unknown. The memory of the smiling roommate remained, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can sometimes lurk beneath an unassuming facade. Story number 3, The Price of Silence. The old, abandoned fraternity house loomed on the edge of campus, a crumbling testament to a bygone era. Whispers of its dark past swirled among students, tales of hazing gone wrong and a brotherhood driven to madness. Sarah, a thrill-seeking journalism major, couldn't resist its allure. Fueled by morbid curiosity and a desire to land a killer story, Sarah convinced her two friends, the level-headed Emily and the tech-savvy Ben, to accompany her on a late-night exploration. Armed with flashlights and a healthy dose of skepticism, they ventured into the decrepit mansion. Dust motes danced in the moonlight filtering through the boarded-up windows. Cobwebs draped from the decaying rafters, and the air hung heavy with a cloying scent of mildew. Every creaking floorboard and groaning stairwell echoed with an unsettling finality. As they ventured deeper, Sarah felt an oppressive silence settle around them. It was as if the house itself held its breath, waiting. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream shattered the stillness. It seemed to come from somewhere above, the sound echoing through the labyrinthine corridors. Adrenaline surged through Sarah's veins. Fear threatened to extinguish her bravado, but the journalist in her wouldn't back down. Heart pounding, they ascended the rickety stairs, each step sending tremors up their spines. On the second floor, they found a dusty trophy case, its glass door shattered. A faded photograph, depicting a group of young men with haunted eyes, stared back at them. A cold draft whipped through the room, extinguishing a flashlight. In the sudden darkness, a disembodied voice whispered, "Silence is the only escape." Panic seized Sarah. She fumbled for her phone, its weak flashlight beam bouncing around the room like a frightened rabbit. Emily and Ben huddled close, their faces pale in the flickering glow. Another chilling whisper echoed, "Closer this time, speak your truth, and you'll join us." Sarah felt a wave of nausea. The silence held a suffocating weight, threatening to crush them. But then, Ben spoke. "We're just here to document the history of this place," he said, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hand. "We mean no disrespect." A tense silence followed, broken only by their ragged breaths. Then, a faint sound, like chains dragging across the floor, receded into the distance. The oppressive weight lifted, and a sigh of relief swept through them. They found their way back out of the decaying fraternity house, shaken but unharmed. Sarah's initial excitement had been replaced by a profound sense of unease. They didn't capture any groundbreaking story, only a lingering sense of dread and a chilling encounter with the remnants of a forgotten tragedy. Back in their dorm, Sarah delved into the university archives, searching for clues about the fraternity house. she unearthed a disturbing story of a hazing ritual gone wrong, resulting in the tragic death of a pledge. The incident had been covered up, the fraternity disbanded, and the house abandoned. But beneath the surface, something sinister remained. The whispers were pleas for the truth to be told, a desperate cry from the silenced soul of the victim. Unable to shake the weight of that knowledge, Sarah anonymously published her findings online. The story sparked outrage, leading to a university investigation and a memorial service for the lost student. The experience forever changed Sarah. It taught her that true courage lies not in seeking thrills but in using her voice to expose injustice, even when it meant breaking the silence and confronting the darkness. The chilling whispers from the abandoned house served as a constant reminder of the price of silence and the power of truth to set things right.